I want to welcome everybody here, and today is the day that South Carolina takes back their income tax policy from Washington, D.C. For all too far long, we have always looked at Washington, D.C. to develop our tax policy, and today we're here to do something to allow South Carolina to be able to control their income tax policy in this state. It's no secret that we have talked about our rate. We're the highest rate, income tax rate in the Southeast, or especially we're at a disadvantage with our neighbors, North Carolina and Georgia. And so today you're going to hear the first introduction of us lowering our income tax rate to a rate that's less than South Carolina, less than Georgia and North Carolina. So let me talk about one thing that worked when we worked through this process, and that is, as Governor McMaster always says, is the 3 C's, Governor. And you tell me what they are?
Communicate, collaborate, cooperate.
Communicate, collaborate, and cooperate. I always got to get that reminder from him of what it is. But this is the process that we followed over the past few months. It's been an honor to work with the President of the Senate, Alexander, Chairman Peeler, and the many members of the Senate, along with Chairman Bannister and the governor and everybody else. And that's the secret to success in South Carolina, is that we work together, we try to find common ground, and we try to do what's best for the state of South Carolina. And it's no secret that South Carolina is booming right now, but we can do better. And our income tax rate is one way that we can do better. So today we're going to introduce a bill that reduces our income tax. And so I'll recognize Chairman Bannister to come and talk about the specifics of that bill. Chairman Bannister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I'm pleased to introduce a new income tax reform bill that will simplify our tax code. It'll make our state more competitive, and it'll put more money in the pockets of hardworking South Carolinians. As you know, South Carolina currently has the highest state income tax in the Southeast, 6.2%. That's a burden on families, on workers, and on businesses looking to grow and thrive here in the Palmetto State. But with the new bill, we will collapse our current 2-tiered tax system and replace it with a single flat tax rate of 3.99%. This is just the first step in our ongoing commitment to lowering the tax burden on our citizens and fostering economic growth. Over time, as key economic conditions are met, we will gradually reduce the income tax rate from 3.99 to 2.49%, ensuring that our tax system remains competitive and sustainable. What does it mean for you? For starters, South Carolina will have a lower income tax rate than many of our neighboring states, lower than North Carolina, Georgia, lower than Alabama and Virginia. That makes us not only more competitive, but also more attractive to new businesses and more affordable for families to call South Carolina home. Unlike tax swaps implemented in other states, it is not our intention to change the revenue source. It is our intention to reduce it. That's what true tax reform is. We are committed to reducing the income tax burden on our residents without shifting the tax load to other areas like property tax or sales tax. The reform's a bold move, and it comes at a cost, about $200 million. But I believe that investing in the tax cut is an investment in our future. Our plan is not just about cutting taxes. We understand that everyone's situation is different, which is why the bill includes a personal exemption for certain wage earners, making sure those who need the most help will benefit the most. We're also keeping the tax benefits that matter most to South Carolinians. The bill maintains all the existing deductions and credits, including those for military families, senior citizens, and families with dependents. These deductions will continue to help the people who need them the most. Now, I know the changes to the tax system can raise some questions, so let me tell you what else will be changing. The withholding tables for the South Carolina Department of Revenue will be adjusted. What that means is every South Carolinian's paycheck will get more money to the South Carolinian, less money to the government. You'll have more to spend during your monthly paychecks. You'll have more money to invest, more money to save. To summarize, a lower tax rate, a simpler tax system, and more money in your pocket. It's a win for families, workers, and businesses in South Carolina. Thank you.
Very good.
President Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. Today truly is a great day in South Carolina. not just because we're announcing a bold plan to cut income taxes, but because of how we got here today. Standing with me and standing with us is our great governor, is the Speaker of the House, Chairman of the Finance Committee, Chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, other members of the Senate and the House of Representatives, business groups, other organizations have all come together today, leaders from across government and business who have come here today. This is what happens when we work as a team for South Carolina and stay focused on building a stronger future for our state. As mentioned earlier, this tax cut is just one part of the broader effort to keep South Carolina competitive, attractive, and prosperous. We're tackling major issues here in South Carolina, including this tax reform and a deliberate strategic steps to ensure that South Carolina keeps pace with our neighbors and stays ahead in a fast-changing and competitive economy. Ladies and gentlemen, the message we're sending here today is clear. To those who live here and to those that are thinking about coming here, whether to build a business, to raise a family, or to invest, we are not just open for business, we're determined to lead. Thanks to the leadership that is in this room today, and more importantly, the hardworking people back home across South Carolina is and will remain the best place in America to live, to work, to raise a family, and build a future. I'm honored to stand here today as we announce this new tax plan that will benefit the citizens throughout the great state of South Carolina, and I appreciate the leadership of everyone that has gotten us to this point, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you. Now we'll hear from a dear friend, the Chairman of the Finance Committee. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Harvey Peeler, Chairman of the South Carolina Senate Finance Committee, and I approve that message.
That's good.
Think back in 2022, I became chairman of the Finance Committee, and the first thing we did, this team working together, gave the largest tax cut in South Carolina's history. $1 billion lowering of the income tax and $1 billion rebate, total of $2 billion returned to our citizens. The start at 7%, as you heard earlier. We've been working as a team to trim that down to 6.2. And now today's effort to bring it down to 3.99. I'm so proud to be part of this team and continue working together, both House and Senate, Finance and Ways and Means, to make this happen. And not just in this today on income tax, but also address sales tax and property tax. We need to lower those two also. There's nothing this team can't do working together. Thank you very much. Now we have Grover Norquist to back me up and tell you everything I told you is truth. Welcome to South Carolina.
Thank you. Absolutely. I am so delighted to be here. I've worked in each of the states that have moved to go to a single rate tax and down to zero. This map has the 8 states that have no personal income tax now, and 15 states, the yellow ones, that are at a single rate tax. The ones with dots are the states, 12 states that have committed to go to zero and have begun to take steps there. I've been at a number of events like this with the press, and I've been there when the governor was there. I've been there when the House guy was there. The Senate and the House guy was there. I've never been at a meeting with this level of unity going into phasing the incomes to a single rate tax and down. To have the governor here, the leadership of the House and the Senate, the relevant committees, the business leaders and community leaders is an incredible step. Immediately, you guys are going to leap ahead of Georgia and North Carolina. North Carolina has been doing this for 12 years, and you're going to be leaping ahead of them and then continue to match them as they ratchet down and to become completely competitive with the neighborhood. This is an exciting day for me because I've seen other states begin to do this, but never with this unity of the community, the House, the Senate, and the governor's office. Delighted to be here and looking forward to South Carolina turning yellow and then green.
It's delightful to have Grover Norquist here. He usually doesn't go to places that are raising taxes. Speaker Smith mentioned the federal tax code, which brings to mind the Constitution. And I know everybody remembers that until just before World War I, there was no U.S. income tax at all. The money was raised to run the government was on taxes, on tariffs and fees and a lot of other things, but there was no income tax. There was in the states, but not in the federal government. Well, the federal government now has gone way beyond what was ever envisioned when they passed that constitutional amendment early in either 1911 or 13, somewhere in there. And now it's become rapacious. It's just too much, and it's suffocating us. But we in South Carolina have determined over the years that we are getting out from any obstacles that are in our way. And it was mentioned, Grover Norquist mentioned incredible, exciting. That's exactly what that is, because this is an exciting, incredible state. And under that same Constitution, it gives us rights. And that is rights of, you know them, they're on the First Amendment. And also there's a property right. I'd like to remind everybody that when you make money, the word make is used because you are making a thing. You are making a possession. Your money that you make, that you earn, that you have is your money. It belongs to the taxpayers. The government has no claim on it until you make it. And then under the law, they're allowed to have some in order to make things better for all the state or all the country. But it's been too much, and it's holding us back. And I want to thank all of these, the men and women that are here, leaders all who have been working for years to bring this day forward. As Chairman Peeler said, a few years ago we took a big step, but we need to take another one. So I look forward to a tax system in our state that is viewed as low, broad, fair, flat, doesn't take too much from anybody, but everybody has to pay something, a little something at least, to be a part of this great state of South Carolina. So, gentlemen of the General Assembly and ladies of the General Assembly, let's get to work. Let's iron out the details. Let's move forward. Let's take that tax down. And I look forward to having a tax reform package with lower taxes that I can have on my desk before this session ends, so we can take another great step forward in the history of our state. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Governor, and everybody for being here. And I will say this is a historic day for South Carolina. And so this will be a day that we'll remember a long time. So with that, we'll be happy to have a few questions on topic, if there are some.
Speaker, part of this will potentially require going from federal taxable income to adjusted gross income. With that move, would some people see any kind of slight increase in their taxes, especially when you're taking away that 3% rate that's currently?
Yeah, I'll let the chairman, he knows the specifics of everything, so let him answer that.
Thank you. So certainly there are people in South Carolina, that 44%, making income between $1 million and $10,000 who pay no income tax. There will be some people, when we take away the gaming of the tax system, that pay more, but we believe 3.99% is a legitimate, good, fair tax to charge them. Yes, sir.
Can you elaborate on specifically how many people will be paying?
So unfortunately, there's no two taxpayers that are the same. There's no normal taxpayer or average citizen. Everybody's tax return is different. So there's not really there are people in the $1 million tax bracket who will get a break, and there are people in the $1 million tax bracket who will pay more. that just don't pay anything now. So there's no average number. What we do know is that when we change the tables and the withholding tables, every South Carolinian who gets a paycheck will have more money in their paycheck than they did before this change.
Previous analyses have said that about 6% tax cut will equal about $300 million in increased revenue. At this point, we can afford that. Services, how much is it going to cost? Can we afford it?
So the current plan is that it will be implemented in 2026. We have budgeted the $200 million in this tax year for the 6.2 to 6%. So we keep the promise that we're going to continue to go down. We anticipate putting in the bill an additional $200 million each year that the budget continues to be healthy. So it would be our goal to cut from 3.99 to 2.49, $200 million a year until we get there.
What's the overall cost?
So there's no way to tell because it depends on when we get there. If we did it today, it'd be $2.7 billion. 4 years, 5 years, 6 years from now, if that's how long it takes us to get to that 2.49, that number will just be different because our economy will be different. The budget will be different.
And one last one, Thomas. Can you just talk a little bit more about the progress you mentioned?
So what we wanted to make sure is if we have military families who currently don't pay income tax on their military retirement benefits or Social Security benefits, we want to make sure we don't change that for any of those people. We're not looking to go take money back that we've agreed from a policy standpoint they shouldn't pay. What we do want to do is decouple ourselves from the federal system and let South Carolina control South Carolina's destiny.
Question for Chairman Peel. Chairman, you are famous for saying no one's going to out-tax greatness.
You can't.
So will you file your own plan, or are you going to stick to this one that's being proposed today?
Well, we'll take this plan when it reaches the Senate and make it better. And better, I mean lower. I've found over the years, when you have a good idea, the way you measure it is podium wrestling. Podium wrestling starts. People think it's a good idea, they wrestle the podium to get to express support. This is a pretty good example of podium wrestling.
Chairman, you all passed a signing out resolution, kind of cut off. So with the calendar, the way that we're given the budget is going to land, and then obviously signing out meeting, is there enough time to get this together from the Senate perspective?
I found that the clock runs by the desire of the General Assembly. So we'll make time.
You also talk about, well, two-part question. How long were talks going on between chambers over this plan? And then also, this is a bit of an unusual grouping of the House, the Senate, the leadership, and the governor. This rarely does happen with such a big policy. Elaborate on that last thing.
I want it to be standard operating procedure.
Final question.
They can see a tax increase or
Who?
Lower earners.
Lower earners? Well, when you have 44% of the population that does not pay income taxes, as the governor said, everybody should pay something. And that's the beauty of a flat rate, that those who pay lower will pay less in taxes and those who earn more will pay more in taxes. So that's it. All right, thank you, guys.